y'all, welcome back to another episode of Whoop It Like Butter. It's your girl Ashley, and today, I'm bringing you another pound cake recipe. So today, we're making $1 million pound cake. Y'all look at that cake. Yes. Okay, so where this cake got its name from continues to be a mystery. But we're gonna taste this cake and see if it really tastes like $1 million. But you know what? Hold that thought. I want to show y'all the bundt pan that I use for this cake. You need a really big 18-cup bundt pan for this cake. Okay, so here's the pan. This is like an angel food cake, mile high pound cake pan. It's 18 cups. If you don't have one, check out the description box. You can find one in my Amazon store. So you know how we do it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'll show you how it's done. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to start off by adding our room temperature butter to our mixing bowl. We're adding 4 sticks of butter, and we're going to go ahead and whip that together before we start adding our sugar. So we're adding granulated sugar to this recipe. We're going to add that real nice and slow so it can really get incorporated into that butter. I think it really adds a nice whip texture to that butter when you add it in there nice and slow. Done it both ways, and this is like my new favorite. Okay, and so once you get that added into the bowl, you want to go ahead and mix that together for about 2 minutes so it can get nice and fluffy, like 2 or 3 minutes at just like a regular speed. Like this is maybe like a 2 or 3, not too fast, not too slow. Okay, and so once your butter is all nice and whipped, it should look like this. And we're gonna go ahead and scrape down the sides of our bowl before we add any additional ingredients. Alright, so here we are with our room temperature eggs, and we're going to add those one at a time, mixing well between each addition before we add our next egg. You don't want to see any yellow, mostly not see any yellow before you add your next egg to the batter. If two slip in there together, it's no big deal. Just make sure that you mix it well before adding your next egg. Okay, so we have that all nice and mixed. So we're going to get ready to go ahead and add our next ingredient, which is our vanilla extract. Didn't stop the mixer here, just kept going because I had my vanilla already ready to go. And then we're going to add our flour here, and we're going to alternate with our milk. Now, it's important that if you don't have your ingredients already ready to go and you're still having to measure in between, you need to stop your mixer because that could possibly cause you to over mix your cake if you're not fast enough with mixing the ingredients. Okay, so very important. So our milk is also at room temperature, and of course we're using whole milk. So you can do this in like 3 separate sections. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you start with the flour and that you end with the flour. Okay, so I leave a little mixing at the end so I don't over mix. So I'm going in here with my spatula so I can do like a little hand mix. You can also use like a spoon as long as it's like something firm because of course this batter is thick and heavy, especially since we're making such a big cake, y'all. This is a whole lot of batter. All right, so here we are with our pan. I'm using this, I call it a mile high cake pan. It's really just an 18-cup pan. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and spray the hell out of that. Get all in the creases and the crevices. Y'all, I spray all on the sides. I spray all around the tube. I spray everywhere. You want to get all up in this pan with your spray before adding your batter if you want to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay, and then we're just gonna lay our batter into this pan. And then the oven is already preheated. Once I start getting to this point, I make sure that the oven is preheated. It's on 325 degrees. And one valuable tool that I use is an oven thermometer because my oven will tell me it's 325 degrees. When it's not, it goes off about the 300-degree mark. And so for accuracy, I just make sure. I mean, a couple of degrees won't hurt, but just for accuracy, I want to make sure that my oven is fully preheated when I'm preheating my oven before I'm making a cake. Okay, and then we're going to bake this cake for an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. You really want to start checking at the hour 15 mark and really, see if it's to your liking because it may need a little bit more time because this is a whole lot of batter. Okay, so when you take it out of the oven, you can go ahead and let it cool for at least 20 minutes before flipping it. You don't want to leave your cake in your pan for too long before flipping it out of the pan. Y'all, look at that. That is so nice and pretty. But you know what? I like the other side of the cake better, so I went ahead and flipped that thing back over. Yeah, okay. And we're going to let this cake finish cooling while we go ahead and make our icing or our glaze or what have you. So we're making like a powdered sugar, condensed milk, butter glaze. I don't know what to call it, but this is my favorite way to make my icing. So we're starting with our powdered sugar, and we're also adding butter. The butter is already at room temperature for easy mixing, and then we're adding our vanilla extract right in there. And then we're gonna start whipping that up, and you want to whip it until it's nice and combined. You may need to stop it and get some of the butter off of your mixing receptacle, but just keep mixing it up. Then we're going to add our condensed milk in here. And I like to add all of these ingredients before starting with adding the milk so I can really gauge how much milk I do or do not want to add. At first I thought, maybe I'm not going to add any milk to this icing, and then it just wasn't loose enough for me. So I decided to add some milk. And we're adding whole milk. I only bake with whole milk, okay? You want that fat for your recipe so everything can hold up real nicely. All right, so we're whipping this a little bit faster. Then we're gonna stop and we're gonna go ahead and come in with our milk. Now you may need to scrape down the sides of your bowl and everything like that. Also to make sure you have all your ingredients blended before you add your milk so you can know where your icing is as far as like consistency. Okay? And then after you have all your icing together, we're gonna pour that into a bowl. Look at that drip. Yeah, that's how I test my icing too, how it drips. And then I know how it's gonna pour when I get ready to put it on the cake. You want to go ahead and not let your icing sit. You want to go ahead and pour it over your cake because icing will settle, may harden or anything like that while you're letting it sit. And then in no form or fashion, just moving it all over this cake. Yeah, and then I want that drip down the side of the cake. That is so amazing. Look at that. Okay. And then I have this little tool. I believe it's called an offset spatula. You can also find that in my Amazon store. It's really helpful, to get all the little creases and crevices where the icing doesn't fall. And then I kind of like how like you could still like see some of the cake as I was moving the offset spatula all around the top of the cake. So I was like, I don't want to completely cover it with icing. I like that little just, peek of being able to see the cake through the icing. Okay, and y'all, for the part that everybody waits for, besides the taste test, but you always want to make sure that your cake came out right, and it's always like a little bit of anxiety when you get ready to cut the cake right. Even though you've done what you're supposed to do, you still never know how a cake will come out. But honey, it was a good cake day. Okay, look at that, and got a little drip. I really love that for when I did the pictures of the cake. Show y'all one more time before we go into the taste test and I give y'all the real close up. Yes. Okay, y'all stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get into the taste test. Okay, so we have our little slice of delight right here. Okay, yeah, y'all get into it. Where am I gonna start? I usually start from the bottom. I like a little crunch, but I flip this cake so that what will be the crunch is on top. Let's start with the icing part. Let's do that. It's definitely moist. That's really good for such a big cake, y'all. Okay. Okay. Got that signature icing on there. Fun fact, y'all. I like pound cake, but I am not a big fan of plain pound cake. I consider this to be a plain pound cake because it's just like basic pound cake ingredients and milk. I like a little cream cheese, a little whipping cream, something like that in my cake. Give it, a nice little boost. But I don't know. It's pretty good. I think like with some strawberries and some whipped topping. Wait a minute. Okay. Got a little aftertaste. Yeah, with that a little strawberry, a little whipping cream. Really glad I put that almond extract in there. That really sets the cake off. Okay. All right, y'all. So I can tell it to you all day, but you gotta see for yourself. So recipe in the description box below. Hold on, let me chew. Okay, so don't be stingy. Make sure that you share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And join us back over here for more at Whip It Like Butter. Bye. And yeah, it's butter, not butter. Y'all know, if you ever meet me in real life, I'm like too silly. I look serious most of the time, but I'm too silly.